If there is one thing that I really hate, it is waste. And I feel like in kitchens where you're buying bread, you only use half the loaf, what do you do with the rest? You make too much, you don't want to eat dozens of cookies, you only want a few, but you still want to make them. It could all just go in the garbage. But where should it go? It should go in your freezer for another day. So I'm going to show you a few quick tips on how to freeze foods effectively so that they'll last as long as possible, and hopefully give you a few freezing tips that you might not have known before. So fruit, this is one thing that you can't eat it fast enough, especially in the summer when it's ripening really fast. So one of our favorite things to do is to freeze bananas. I buy tons and tons of bananas, and I'll put them in the food processor or in the blender, and I'll add like cocoa powder and all kinds of different things. There's tons of recipes on Weelicious to see this, but to make a healthier version of ice cream or even smoothies. Instead of adding ice, add frozen bananas or frozen fruit to give it like thick, sweet flavor. If you've never done this, because it's kind of new to me, figs. Freeze figs. Just take off the top. You can cut them into pieces or put them on a cookie sheet whole, because that really is the trick. You want to put all these things. I've got some grapes here, some strawberries. Again, just pick off the stem ends, because you're just going to be putting it right into the freezer. So you want to make sure that the only thing that freezes, or you'll never get that stem off later, is the strawberry itself. And I'll freeze these for a few hours, and then just like I did with the bananas, I'll put it into a zipper-lined bag, and then I'll take my indelible marker, my Sharpie, and I'll write what it is and the date so that I remember how much time I have before I should use it. Because generally in your freezer, you have 3, maybe 4 months before you should use an item, because after that, it's just gonna get lots of ice crystals and it's not as good. So that's your fruit. So make sure you always freeze things as much as possible on a cookie sheet and then transfer it to a bag. This was a cookie cake that I made. I made a bunch of cookie cakes. You can't see what's inside because it's been all wrapped up. But I love to do cookie cakes and just freeze them so that when I have a birthday party or a friend's party, all I need to do is take this out of the freezer the night before, defrost it, and inside this is a chocolate chip cookie heart. It's really, really cute. There are a lot of foods that you might not think about freezing that will stay longer. Their shelf life might not be as long if you just put it in the pantry. You might have, want to keep it away from bugs, moths. So the best items to keep in your freezer: nuts, they freeze forever. And you're going to be shocked that you can eat a walnut or an almond or a peanut right out of the freezer and it's not going to be like frozen. They just stay crispy and crunchy and really, really delicious. Wheat germ, 10-grain cereal, oatmeal, any of these type of foods can be frozen, and it's a really great idea to keep them in the freezer, especially if you don't use them often. I use wheat germ a few times a year. I don't use it every day, so keeping it in the freezer means that I can keep it in there for quite a long time. Cookies. I always love making cookies, but there's no way that I can eat dozens and dozens of cookies or that I want my family eating dozens and dozens of cookies at one time. So before I bake them, if I can take raw cookie dough, put it on a cookie sheet and freeze them, and then just follow the baking directions when you want to bake them. So it would be, if it says 12 minutes, you just take the raw cookie dough that's frozen, put it on a cookie sheet, bake it for 12 minutes. And these actually were cookies that I just made way too many of, these heart-shaped chocolate graham crackers. So I just put them in a zipper-lined bag, labeled it, and now I can enjoy these cookies. They're already baked. Just take them out a few hours before you want to eat them. Perfect for school lunch. Just put them, these were lemon pound cake donuts. And what I do is the night before, I'll take these out, maybe 1 or 2, put them in my kids' school lunch, and they defrost by that morning. And these were just like some little corn muffins. So when I make a bowl of soup and I'm like, I don't want to have to take the time to make corn muffins, I have a few that I can serve on the side with some soup. Again, back to the fruit. If you have leftover fruit, don't waste it. You can use this method for freezing it, or you can just pop everything into your blender and pour everything into popsicle molds. I had some leftover strawberries and bananas, so I made these 2-layer popsicles just with some almond milk, because now they're vegan and they're really healthy and naturally sweet, and I don't know many kids who won't just be thrilled to have a popsicle. Now, what kind of containers do you use? I've already showed you the zipper bags. Always keep zipper bags with your pen. But another container that I like to use is glass. Now, I think that there's some misinformation that if you put in glass, it's gonna crack. Here's the trick. Just make sure that if you use glass, that you fill it 3/4 the way up, so that if it's a liquid, like right here, I had some teriyaki sauce that I made. So I used my pen, I put teriyaki sauce, and now I've got this teriyaki sauce that I can use to frost it to marinate chicken or pour into a stir fry. So I just put it in about halfway, although you could do it all the way to 3/4 away up the side, and it'll just expand a little bit. So you're giving it a little bit of space because the liquid will expand in the freezer. So I just love to use these glass containers. Here's some more cookies that I froze, and these Pop Tops, that's all you have to do. These are cocoa date cookies that are in the Weelicious cookbook. And here's some My Kind of Candy. So these are all just like little treats that I keep in the freezer, but these containers are kind of amazing. There's lots of different containers that you can use, but I use these glass locks because they're easy and they stack beautifully. So you don't have like heaps in your freezer where you can't even find anything. And that's what's gonna help by using this painter's tape. I use painter's tape for everything in my freezer. That way, immediately you can see what the item is and what the date was, and you know what's in your freezer, so that it's not an abyss of food. For more fast, fresh, and easy recipes like this and more, check out Weelicious.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment below, and check all the videos on Weelicious for a ton of different quick tips and recipes.